Right now on the National Weather Desk, Mercury plunge. Winter-like temperatures arrive in much of the nation, including the South. Also, avalanche dangers, how you can survive being caught in a mass of falling snow.
The only way you're going to survive is if you have a partner to come get you.
The shape of snow, what determines the shape of those snowflakes?
They actually come in multiple different shapes and sizes.
Why a man decided to swim across the Red Sea, and we'll take you to the United Nations Conference on Climate Change.
Every day there are new commitments coming out here.
From our nation's capital, this is the National Weather Desk.
Good morning and welcome to the National Weather Desk. I'm meteorologist Veronica Johnson. For millions of Americans, the reality of the season sure kicked in this weekend. Some places saw their first snow of the season, while others saw warm temperatures quickly turn colder. Lows in the South tonight will be 15 to 30 degrees below average. As Jessica Taylor reports, that's not what people in Austin, Texas expect this time of the year.
It's getting a little crazy. Winter has started.
Cooler temperatures and Friday's rain showers are just the starting point for the upcoming chilly week.
We need the rain, but I like cool weather, but like I said, it's a big change.
So we're coming here to beautiful Austin to have some 70, 80 degree weather, and we're back in Michigan again.
As winter approaches, Austin Public Works says they're in good shape to deal with the temperatures. Several of their teams spent last week practicing their response to severe weather emergencies. Austinite Matt Myers hopes to avoid another massive freeze situation this year.
That was not good. We lost power, obviously, and had a pipe break. So we had a flood in the kitchen, got it dried out for about 4 weeks, and then luckily we got somebody to fix it.
Whether it's staying in or embracing the elements, it's shaping up to be an interesting time of year.
I could have worn a heavier sweatshirt probably, but I'll get by with my raincoat, I think.
Southern Indiana and southern Michigan had lake-effect snow over the weekend, and we thank our viewers who submitted these great photos. More than 7 inches of snow fell in South Bend, Indiana. Some roads were more snow-covered than others, but this shot from Jen Martin really got our attention. A postcard-like photo showing the arrival of winter weather. And while Hurricane Nicole is long gone, some places are still cleaning up from the mess left behind. This was the scene in eastern North Carolina on Friday. The river in McDowell County overflowing its banks. Asheville saw more than 2 inches of rain on Friday. There's no reports of any serious damage, but as quickly as Nicole came, it went, and the colder weather pattern is settling in. Asheville could see a wintry mix tomorrow morning. And there's a lot of positives to the cold weather. One of them might be snow, especially when paired with a good mountain slope and some skis or snowboard. But there's a warning to those who like to venture off the beaten path, the possibility of avalanches. Let's go to Bozeman, Montana, where Jonathan May explains.
Thrill seekers skiing in the backcountry look to find uncharted powder. But if not careful, they could also find danger. It's already happening.
A backcountry skier triggered a pretty decent sized avalanche on Mount Blackmore, which is up Highlight Canyon south of town.
The skier escaped the avalanche and is fine, but it indicates folks can now trigger avalanches anytime.
We have some instabilities. And so right now, as you're getting out, it's a good idea to treat it as though it's midwinter.
Meaning those exploring this wilderness should carry a beacon, rescue gear, and shovel while using caution when skiing across steep slopes.
Even though we're just getting going, there's a lot of snow out there, and people are kind of hitting it and getting after it, which we like to see, but you want to be safe.
And experts say to always bring a partner when adventuring into the backcountry, because that could be the difference between life and death.
Even a small avalanche, a very small avalanche, if you're buried, either completely buried or you're buried upside down where your head and arms are in the snow, you can't get up. You can't get out. And the only way you're going to survive is if you have a partner to come get you.
Chabot says know the conditions before you go and make sure you and your partner can handle the backcountry terrain.
You only want to bite off what you can chew, so as you're beginning, smaller slopes, ones that aren't very big, kind of friendlier terrain is where it's a great place to start, learn about the snowpack.
Looks like those colder months are here to stay for part of the country when it comes to winter precipitation. So what's the difference between it all? Let's go to Dayton, Ohio, where meteorologist Natalie Walters explains.
What's the difference between snow,
freezing rain, and sleet. Well, it all has to do with the temperature of the air from the cloud all the way to the ground. In order for snow to happen, the entire column of air from the cloud to the ground has to stay below freezing. Now, for sleet to form, you'll have a warmer layer of air, so the snow will melt and then refreeze, creating ice pellets. And for everybody's least favorite precipitation type, freezing rain, we have a warmer layer of air aloft and a very shallow layer of air below freezing, which means supercooled water droplets will freeze upon contact.
Did you know there are different types of snowflakes? Yes, their sizes and shapes depend on the temperature and the moisture content that's in the atmosphere. Let's go to Syracuse, New York, where meteorologist Violet Skyber explains.
So let's start with temperatures that are close to freezing, around 25 to 32 degrees. That's when we see the shape of thin plates. It's a hexagonal shape, and it's usually fairly small with a low amount of moisture in the atmosphere to form these. As we drop even colder to 21 to 25 degrees, that's when we start to see needle-like structures forming with a little bit more moisture in the atmosphere. Even colder than that, 14 to 21 degrees. That's when we see hollow columns starting to build. 10 to 14 degrees, we see that more typical snowflake shape of stellar plates. But the most common type of snowflake, usually when we see dry, fluffy snow that's great for sledding and downhill skiing and stuff like that, is dendrites, and that usually forms with some colder temperatures, 3 to 10 degrees, and a high amount of moisture in the atmosphere is needed for the entire dendrite to produce all of those intricate patterns that we usually see with them. As we go even colder than that, it actually starts to go backwards with the shape. So we go back to stellar plates when we drop down to -8 to -3 degrees. Any colder than that, below -8, we go back to that column shape. So just take a look at the snow sometime and see if you can tell what type of shape or pattern it is. Maybe even try to get a picture of it for us.
Feel free to submit your snowflake photos via our Chime In platform. Just go to the station's website and click on the Chime In tab. Central Texas found itself in the middle of a hailstorm last Friday. Viewers in the Austin region shared their videos and their photos with our station there. An Arctic front brought cold air to the region, triggering storms that included hail. Temperatures dropped from near 80 degrees all the way down into the 40s, and most of the hail was P2 size. By the way, Austin could see a thunderstorm today with high temperatures approaching 60 degrees. And check out what appears to be an unusually bright meteor caught on camera. This is from last week in Hawkins County, Tennessee. A meteor streak of light that occurs when a small piece of rock or metal enters the Earth's atmosphere and heats up due to the friction of the air. The heat then causes gases around it to glow brightly. If it survives and strikes the Earth, it's then known as a meteorite. By the way, the Leonid meteor shower occurs now and is active until the end of the month. It peaks on Wednesday night into Thursday morning. And in Seattle, questions are being asked about those mysterious lights that were in the sky there. Meteorologist Kristen Clark showed the pictures on Instagram.
There have been some odd-looking lights in the nighttime sky. This was thanks to Greg from Skunk Bay Weather. He has a fabulous weather site with all these live time-lapse cameras that are located in Central Sound. Now, he took this snapshot from one of his cameras Wednesday morning on November 9th. This is looking northeast toward the Cascade Mountains. You can see the snow-capped mountains in the distance there. But what are these crisscross lights? Now, granted, this is just a snapshot from the time-lapse. Odd, right? Can you help solve the mystery? This is the time lapse taken that morning, again, Wednesday, November 9th. The American flag, of course, is flapping pretty good, but you see these little streaks of light. I mean, some have said this might be the Starlink satellite, but you'd think that'd be more in like a linear fashion. Others have said they're meteors. But I think we've kind of ruled that out with some meteor reports, not really over our area for this time frame. Could it be aliens? One clue could actually be that this location is located just north of the Painfield Everett airfield there. So my guess would be that it's air traffic. Could those be airplanes? I don't know. What do you think?
And coming up on the National Weather Desk, the United Nations Climate Change Conference is taking place in Egypt. We'll get an update on what's taking place at those meetings and why a man chose to swim more than 70 miles across the Red Sea.
Hi, everyone. I'm meteorologist Charlie Lopresti with a look at the Northeast. The warmer temperatures we were getting used to for a while, that's ancient history. We're starting our Monday with temps in the 30s. Now, afternoon temperatures will be in the low 40s for most of the Northeast. What you don't see in this map right here is that wind. Winds are going to be gusting around 30 miles per hour at times. So wind chills start to come into play today. And as we go into Tuesday, clouds start to increase. Our next weather maker will bring rain and some mountain snow as we head into Wednesday.
I'm meteorologist Jonathan Myers, and here's a look at the mid-Atlantic region. A chilly start, lots of 20s and 30s, but at least bright skies, and it stays with a good deal of sunshine as we work our way through the first day of the work week. But temperatures only in the 40s to around 50 degrees for highs, even under that sun. So some chilly air ahead of our next weather maker that could bring a lot of us a cold rain as we head Tuesday on into Wednesday. That's the scene here.
Hi there, I'm meteorologist Michael Ehrenberg. Here's a look at your Monday morning forecast for the southeast. We're looking at clear skies with high pressure behind a little bit of a weak front. Down in central and south Florida, there will be a little bit of cloudiness, but otherwise even drier air works down that way. High temperatures, low 80s from West Palm south, 70s across north and central Florida with nice and cool 50s for areas like Nashville, 54 your high in Atlanta, 54 for Raleigh, and 60s over the southeast to the Gulf Coast states. Enjoy your Monday.
Now let's check to see the weather in cities across the country today. We're going to start out here in St. Mary's, Pennsylvania, where things are pretty chilly this morning and some overcast skies. There'll be a high temperature of only 39 degrees. Next up, Cincinnati, Ohio, with a mixture of clouds and sunshine and a high temperature a little better, 43. And then over to South Bend, Indiana now, mostly cloudy conditions with an afternoon temperature of just 41 degrees. And we'll head all the way down to Austin, Texas now, where there will be some occasional rain showers coming in, an afternoon temperature of 53 degrees. Well, world leaders, policymakers, and scientists are gathering this week in Egypt for the United Nations Conference on Climate Change. Bernadette Woods-Plackey from Climate Central is there. Emily Gracie caught up with her to see what important messages are coming out of that meeting.
So COP, the Conference of Parties by the UN Climate Change Group, is really a platform to move the conversation forward on climate change. This was started 27 sessions ago. That's why this one's called COP27. And each year there's new things that are really brought forward in those negotiations and conversations. But the main goal at this point comes back to the Paris Climate Change Agreement, where the world came together to limit warming to 2 degrees Celsius, which is 3.6 degrees Fahrenheit, with the aspiration of keeping that to 1.5 degrees Celsius. So all of this additional work comes around that global goal.
Who's there? Is it worldwide?
This is truly worldwide. Every country is represented both in the negotiations and the events here. So you really have three things happening at once. The actual negotiations, but then there is activism that goes on around this. A lot of people raising their voice in different ways. And then in general, broad conference that has been created around this entire conference. And so within that conference itself, the real uniqueness is it brings together all sectors. It's the science, it's the communication, but it's also the finance, it's the business, it's the oceans, it's the natures, it's the full range of anything connected to climate change.
Any breaking information you can share with the viewers of the National Weather Desk?
Every day there are new commitments coming out here, from finance to youth pledges to how we're going to limit methane, another form of greenhouse gas going forward, and how different sectors play into that limitation. So every day there's so much being announced. The real thing that I think that we can say is the overall theme of this COP in particular is implementation. There have been so many pledges made over the years. Action is also being made, but how do we take those pledges and really translate those into a faster action?
Bernadette also told Emily that Climate Central is there to spread the word about their new climate shift index, which is a tool that attributes daily temperature extremes to climate change. And if you want to check out the longer version of this interview or get more information about the climate shift index, go to YouTube and search for the National Weather Desk. Raising awareness about the environment and marine life was behind one man's historic swim of 76 miles across the Red Sea. Lewis Pugh captured all the underwater action during his 16-day journey, and he hopes the world leaders will take notice and action.
I use swimming, which I love so much, to be able to tell a story about the health of our planet. I do swims in the most endangered parts of the world, and then afterwards I try to get the areas protected. So I wanted to do a swim across the Red Sea, never been done before, across these coral reefs, to talk about protecting this most amazing ecosystem in the Red Sea. It's absolutely unbelievable because there's the colors which are so vibrant, the yellows, the purples, the greens, and then all the wildlife that lives in them, all the small fish, the little goldfish, and then the bigger fish and the sharks and the turtles. Every single day was a real joy. Science says if we heat the planet by 1.5 degrees centigrade, we will lose 70% of the world's coral. If we heat the planet by 2 degrees, we lose 99% of the world's coral. The UN has just produced a report where they say that we are now on track for the warming of the planet, not by 1.5 degrees, not by 2 degrees, but by somewhere between 2.5 and 2.8 degrees. I hope world leaders take this very, very seriously and they come with very, very ambitious targets, but also not just that they commit to these targets, but they take real, serious action. I'm sure that I'll have another swim in another vulnerable part of the world coming up.
Here's something left over from our coverage of Hurricane Nicole last week and how some animals handle the storm. This video shows a gathering of ducks across the water. They seem pretty unbothered by the leftovers of Hurricane Nicole. Eventually, they showed up to the photographer's door looking for food. Seems they were unaware that the strong storm just blew through the area. And on this day in weather history, it doesn't get as much attention as the mission before it and after it. But Apollo 12 experienced some drama. Shortly after takeoff, it was hit by lightning twice. Here's a look at how it impacted the mission and future missions.
November 14th, 1969. Apollo 12 was set to launch from Cape Canaveral. A cold front was moving through Florida that week, and while there were overcast skies and rain showers, there wasn't a major concern about safety due to weather conditions. Apollo 12 took off right on time at 11:23 in the morning in front of a cheering crowd of spectators, which included President Nixon. 36.5 seconds after takeoff, lightning struck the Saturn V rocket. The crew started to experience electrical troubles on board. And then 52 seconds after takeoff, they were hit by a second lightning strike. Despite even more electrical troubles, the mission continued, and then they successfully landed on the moon on November 19th. The crew all made it home safely. After this mission, NASA amended flight rules to ensure no launch takes place when lightning is likely. For the National Weather Desk, I'm meteorologist Emily Gracie.
And now it's time to go soaring, where we give you a drone eye view of our nation. Today's video is a tour of California's San Joaquin Valley from our station in Fresno.
Morning, we have some Arctic air moving through portions of the Great Lakes region. Get a look at this. Bismarck 18, you head over to Sioux City 32. Then you get into the Illinois area, into the Ohio Valley. We haven't had that Arctic air quite yet, so those spots still in the 40s. This Arctic air going to bring rain on the warm side of it. And then behind it, we're dealing with some snow showers. This is going to continue Monday into Tuesday, tapering off probably not until about the middle of the week.
Good Monday morning. I'm meteorologist Joe DiCarlo with a look at your forecast across the region. Going to be a chilly week, and that gets going today. Snow showers across Oklahoma. We're talking about 2 to 4 inches of snow around Oklahoma City. Highs in the mid-30s. Across Texas, 40s all the way up to the mid-70s. Down to the south, showers and storms across East Texas. This pushes east overnight, and a chilly one. 30 for a low in Oklahoma City. Some upper or lower 20s in Amarillo. Expecting mainly in the 40s across Texas overnight tonight.
Good morning. I'm meteorologist Rebecca Stevenson. Here's what's happening across the West. A lot of below normal temperatures. Highs just barely making it into the upper 20s across parts of Wyoming and even into the 30s around Utah for Salt Lake City. Now, we've got a storm system, an upper level low, continuing to push snow into parts of northern northeast New Mexico. About time we should have our first snow this time of year. But that snow continues to stretch up through parts of the Rockies. That's the scene from here.
Weather Window, presented by the National Weather Desk.
This is more than a boat and more than a hot tub. It's a spa cruisy. Reno meteorologist Matt Monroe says this photo was taken at Lake Tahoe on Friday. The air temperature at the time was 19 degrees. Inside the spa cruisy, the water was 102 degrees. And yes, that is a fireplace in the bow. The lesson here, summer pastimes can still be possible, even when it's cold out.
For more content like this, like the National Weather Desk on Facebook.
And now it's time to showcase some of the awesome content that we get from you, our viewers, that you submit through our Chime In platform, like this snapshot of a snowy morning in Michigan. And this is also what it looks like when, you got a little bit of a nighttime winter wonderland going on in Michigan. That is so pretty. Looks like a postcard. And a recent sunset seen here from Tennessee. And we would love to share your weather content on the air. You can find us all over your favorite social media platforms, including Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Just search at NatWX Desk or the National Weather Desk. And we'll be right back. Thanks for spending a little part of your morning with the National Weather Desk. Have you ever heard of a heat island? Join us tomorrow to find out what it is. I'm meteorologist Veronica Johnson. Make it a great Monday and keep an eye on the sky.